let's kind of put on our wellness hat and talk a little bit about wellness and wearables. And I want to welcome to our program a friend of the Institute who we've known for quite some time, Rajiv Kumar, CEO and founder of ShapeUp. Rajiv, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, got a chance to see some of your team this week out at IHC Forum West.
I wish I could have been there, but everybody had a great time and said there was a lot of excitement at that forum.
It's great. Hey, Rajiv, for the market that might not know you, I think a lot of us do, and we appreciate you being a part of the Institute. Give us a little bit of background on ShapeUp, and then we'll kind of get into this wellness and wearables discussion.
Absolutely. So ShapeUp is an employee well-being company. We founded back in 2006. We're headquartered in Providence, Rhode Island. I actually love telling the story about how we founded the company because it was very accidental. I was a medical student and became very interested in obesity and lifestyle change and began to work with some of my patients to help them change their lifestyle around. And I stumbled upon the concept of group-based behavior change therapy, which means leveraging social connections and relationships and other people to help an individual achieve his or her personal health goals, to help them get engaged and stay accountable over time. And so I created ShapeUp as a nonprofit organization here in Rhode Island to help communities of people exercise, eat healthier, lose weight, manage chronic conditions, and before long, employers started to latch on to this concept, and we became a corporate wellness company within about 18 months. And so for the past 9 years, we've been working with employers all around the world. We work with 800 customers, and we help to engage their employees in healthy living. And there's a wide spectrum of things that our clients look to us to help engage their employees in. But we really see ourselves as a employee well-being engagement company powered by a software platform, which is our proprietary technology.
That's outstanding. Rajiv, I don't know if you recall, you and I actually first met the first part of 2007. I founded this the end of 2006 and 2007, and I can remember you telling me that exact story back in 2007. So congratulations to where you are. I mean, as one of the industry leaders, you've come a long way, and hats off to you. Talk a little bit about wellness and wearables. I mean, wearables is kind of the hot thing out there. Everyone, I got a Withings watch on, who we had done some things with, Garmin's with us, Fitbit with us, Talk about where wellness and wearables are working together and really how you help your clients kind of strike that perfect balance.
Yeah, wearables are absolutely hot right now. I mean, look at just Fitbit stock, for example, right? They went public this year. It's a $6 billion market capitalization. They're going to sell $2 billion worth of Fitbits, over 30 million devices. And they're growing, 100, 200, 300% quarter over quarter. It's just a remarkable exponential rise for that company. And then recently, you probably saw the news that Misfit was acquired by Fossil last week. And so you see some really large companies making plays to be able to take wearables and bring them out to the market in an even greater way. So there's no doubt that it's hot right now. I think what's interesting for us in the employee well-being space is that employers were looking for a way for many years to engage their employees, to help keep them engaged over time, to collect objective data so that they felt good about the results that were being reported in their wellness program. And they had turned to historically some devices and other tools that were either analog, or very, very basic, basic pedometers or USB upload devices that were made, white labeled and so forth. And they were very kind of low quality, not very consumer friendly, and I don't think employees really, they didn't resonate with employees. But what you see now is there's a consumer wave happening, and employees in their personal lives are adopting these devices. I mean, they're highly coveted. Everybody wants a Garmin or a Fitbit, and so I think there's a really great opportunity now for employers to make these types of devices able to be used and perhaps even to provide these devices to their employees. And it's a win-win. The employer finally gets to achieve some of the objectives they've had in terms of activating their population, keeping them going, collecting the data, and the employee gets to leverage a tool that's very exciting and very consumer-friendly.
So what is the best way to integrate wearable technology into a current existing program or plan?
I like to think about the purpose of a wearable and what is the role that a wearable can play in a well-being program, and then sort of build off of the integration off of those key roles. So when I think about a wearable, at least from my perspective, there's kind of three things that a wearable does. The first is it can serve as an incentive to drive awareness of a wellness program and to drive participation in a wellness program. We talked about people love them, they want them, and especially in the workplace when you see a colleague wearing one, you want to find out how did that person get it. Oh, our employer gave it to you. I didn't realize I could get that. I can get that for free. Where do I sign up? How do I get going? So I find that that incentive is an important role. The second role is as a feedback mechanism for behavior change and engagement. So the devices are really powerful in that they can provide real-time feedback. Various wearables, they buzz, they light up, they trigger pop-up notifications on your mobile phone or maybe an email in your inbox, and they allow a participant to know when they've met a goal or if they're close to getting to a goal or if they've exceeded their goal. And, in a way, it's like an automated coach on your wrist or in your pocket or on your belt. And what we know from behavior change science is that these types of really tight, frequent feedback loops are critical for keeping people engaged and keeping them striving for increasing levels of achievement over time. And then, I think the third role for a wearable is a data collection and measurement tool for outcomes verification. So it's a way for individuals to get an accurate picture of their physical health. And what we know from all the research is that human beings are notoriously bad at self-estimation, right? So if you ask somebody how much activity they did in a day, they're usually off by a factor of 2. So it allows individuals to get an accurate picture of their health, but it allows the employer to verify results for either incentives purposes or reporting purposes, and that allows them to really understand the impact it's having on their population. So if you think about those three roles, then therefore how do you integrate a wearable device into a wellness program? Well, the first is you can offer them up as an incentive for participation or for meeting a milestone, and we see employers either making them free for everybody or subsidizing them so that they're more affordable for their population. In terms of sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rajiv. I was listening.
I think in terms of keeping the engagement going and the behavior change, you have to get the wearable to integrate with a wellness software platform and with a mobile app so that they can provide the real-time guidance and encouragement. And then as far as the kind of outcomes measurement, really tying them to an incentives program, so you're eliminating self-reported data inaccuracies. You're making both the employer and the employee feel better about the results, and this drives sort of fairness and trust. So those are the ways that I sort of see a wearable playing a role in a wellness program and how you can kind of integrate it into the overall strategy.
Is there pushback from some employee population to wearables, thinking like you're actually becoming Big Brother putting this on me? I mean, is there some of that concern?
I certainly think there have been instances of that. By and large, we don't hear that type of feedback, especially if the employers, ensure to make these things optional and they message them in the right way that this is about helping you achieve your personal goal. What we know from the data that we collect is, almost every American wants to lose weight or maintain their weight, and 90% of people are not achieving regular, healthy levels of physical activity. And so I think there's a very strong desire and motivation in any workplace population to be healthier. And so if this is a tool that's communicated as a way to help somebody achieve their personal goal, it's not required. We're not doing this to penalize you or punish you in any way. You might earn rewards for using it. Great. I think it's all about how you communicate and message it to your employees, and certainly you can't force anybody to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting, Rajiv. I'll give you a personal testimony of that. We did a program here and a challenge here with whipping, and I personally lost 30 pounds, and I have to credit most of that to the wearable because it made me real accountable to what I needed to do, and it kept me accountable on a day-to-day basis and motivated too. I mean, it was great. I mean, I still had, the challenge is done, but I still use it. I still monitor it. I still, track where I am. And so, yeah, I'm a big believer. And I'm not exactly your millennial either. So,
No, I think they work for everybody. I come from a family of physicians. I'm a physician myself, and I have 35 doctors in my family, and everybody wears a wearable, and they're even encouraging their patients to do so, and it's because they believe in it, and they see that it's worked for them personally, and they want to spread that to their patient population. So absolutely, these are powerful tools. Now, the wearable alone without any type of feedback mechanism or programming around it, without social support, I think is not as effective. But certainly it's a starting point, and it can be an activation tool to get people moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Is it, can a program be device agnostic?
I think the answer is sort of yes and no. I think if you want to allow a participant to be able to self-report their results, sure, you can let your employees use any device they want and simply ask them to manually transfer over their results. But obviously that's pretty painful and a very poor user experience. If you want all of the data to flow in directly from the device to the cloud and down to a platform, then the answer is no. You can get close in that some of the best platforms integrate today with over 100 different devices and mobile apps, but there's no true device agnostic platform that's out there. Just because there's a new device coming out every single week, if you read the news, I'm always surprised when I go out to meet people in the marketplace. They ask me about if we integrate with a certain device that I've never heard of, and I'm always surprised that I've never heard of the device. And then when I look it up, it turns out to just be a Kickstarter campaign. So the device isn't even on the market yet. People want it, right? So the pace of innovation is moving so fast. There's no way to be truly device agnostic, but we can figure out what are the most popular devices, Garmin's, Fitbits, Misfits, figure out how to make those available, and you're going to reach almost all of your employees by doing that.
I got it. Give us some examples with some of your clients on some of the creative ways that they've used wearables in their programs.
Yeah, I think it's just getting started. I think we'll see even more creative ways in the future, but I can give you a couple examples. One is we've seen some clients give people a really basic digital pedometer, not a true wearable, but just a basic pedometer for joining a challenge, for example. And then what they'll say is if you complete this challenge and achieve a certain level of activity during it, we'll reward you with a connected wearable device. Right? So what's great about that is they get people started with something very basic, but as people start to engage in the program, they want the better device, and they want something that has more sex appeal and more functions and is easier to have the data flow directly into the platform. And so they can reward healthy activity with a healthy tool, which is giving them an even better device at the end of that. So I love that concept of rewarding health with health and keeping people in the game. Don't give people a $100 gift card that they can go spend anywhere. Give them something that is going to be conducive to their healthy journey. One of my sort of favorite examples is there's a bank in New York that gave out gift cards, Visa gift cards to their employees for participating in the wellness program. And when they got the data back on how the dollars were spent, the three places that where most of the dollars were spent were McDonald's, KFC, and Walmart. And they felt kind of burned by that. They said, there's some healthy things, at either of those places, but let's assume that those employees didn't, buy the healthiest options at Walmart, at KFC and McDonald's. They felt kind of burned by that. But imagine if they had given their employees a wearable device. Then what else do you do with a wearable device? You wear it and you increase your physical activity. So I sort of love that concept. We've seen employers give wearables to team captains or wellness champions as a way to get more influencers involved. And then what you automatically happen there is, the program goes viral. Those people are now more motivated to pull other people in, and you get much higher engagement. And then I've seen people give their participants a choice. So do you want to have this wearable as an incentive, or do you want this gift card? And we actually have seen that 40% of people will choose the wearable, even though it's an equivalent dollar amount of value. So people do want those wearables, and giving them a choice, I think, is kind of a creative way to let them feel like they made the decision to take that wearable as opposed to having it foisted upon them.
That makes sense. And then I think that makes a lot of sense. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then the last one I would share is I think we've seen some employers tie daily physical activity as measured by your wearable to incentives on an ongoing basis. So not just through a challenge or a campaign, but year-round. So every time you walk, let's say 10,000 steps in a day, you get a point. And every time you get 10 points, you get $1. And you can keep doing that every day throughout the year, and it's a way to just keep people going where every single day they don't want to take off the device, they don't want to get under 10,000 steps, and that's how they start to drive that long-term lasting behavior change.
Rajiv, listen, we've really enjoyed having you on the program. I want to give you a chance to leave our audience with a few takeaways, if you would, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I think wearables alone are not a wellness program, right? So just distributing, a set of Garmin devices or Fitbit devices to your population will create some excitement, will get some people moving, but ultimately you won't be able to sustain the engagement over time unless you also have a comprehensive program and an engagement strategy wrapped around it. So my advice is to make sure that, while these devices can be very attractive, shiny objects, and they can be very powerful tools, you need to make sure that you're thinking about them in a broader context of a more comprehensive solution and making sure that you truly have an engagement strategy so you can sustain the activation that you create with those devices over time. I think wherever possible, you want to give people choice. So letting them bring their own device if they have something they're already using as opposed to forcing them to switch is a really good tactic. And I think wherever you can, take incentive dollars and put them into the devices. You reward health with health, and you give people something that's truly meaningful, and you can feel good about it as an employer. So those are some of the key takeaways, and I think we're going to see a lot of innovation. We're just scratching the surface of where wearables can go. I'm personally excited about wearables being able to better track my sleep, so maybe I can get some better sleep coaching and not be so exhausted all the time. I think we're seeing longer battery life. We're seeing really fashion being merged with some of these devices, and some really cool form factors coming out. So there's a lot of innovation coming. I think it's an exciting time, and we're just getting started with wearables and wellness.
Thanks, Rajiv. And if anyone is listening wants to connect with Rajiv and his team, go to shapeup.com. Rajiv, you have a happy Thanksgiving next week. I really appreciate your time, and enjoy the upcoming weekend as well.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rajiv. Take care.